All right, we're gonna do something a little different. Are you ready for it? Are you ready? I'm gonna make a video that is not about politics. Now, don't worry, I'm still going to talk about politics and all that stuff too, but lately I definitely have had an urge to kind of go back to my roots, to go back to the topics that I think about and talk about and work on in real life when we are not in quarantine and I'm bored and creating a lot of content for YouTube. And this is frankly where I started my channel originally, was to talk about topics related to the workplace, how we can create better work environments, how we can create less stressful work environments, all that good stuff. So I am hyper aware that most of you found me for the politics stuff. I get it, man. But most of you also have jobs, and some of you also lead teams, and so conceivably you could also find this content helpful. I am not in a place right now where I feel a need to separate out into multiple channels. I want to be able to talk about a diverse array of topics on my channel. I'm going to leave it up to you as the adult to take responsibility and to watch the videos that interest you and just let the other videos go. Just ignore them. You don't have to watch or appreciate every video I make. It's cool. We can still be friends. So today's topic I want to talk about is this research that's come out of Gallup about how leaders are responding to the COVID-19 workplace disruption. So it's going to give us some interesting information, thoughts to consider about how to create positive work experiences in this era where everything is just a little wacky, especially when it pertains to work. Now, I have said from the very beginning of this that this is going to fundamentally change the way that organizations have to tackle flexible work arrangements, virtual work environments, that sort of thing. Organizations have been working in virtual environments, for a really long time. I worked with my first work-at-home company in 2007. And so it's 13 years of experience of how to work well in virtual work environments. So this is nothing new, but I'll tell you what, man, coronavirus pushed a lot of companies off the cliff. They had been refusing to do it and refusing to tackle it, and are like, work from home is only under special occasion with special permission and all these things, and that's not going to fly anymore. This is going to fundamentally change things no matter how long the quarantine lasts, because guess what's happening? Employees are working from home, they're getting their offices set up, they're figuring it out, they're getting into their routine, they're finding, ooh, I'm much more productive when I'm at home. I'm able to get more done. I'm still meeting my goals. Things are flexible. I can cook myself lunch. I can take the dog for a walk. I can throw in a load of laundry. Listen, work from home environments are not without their challenges. There are certainly challenges involved, but the extra flexibility is nice. And I know a lot of employees, I've been talking to them offline or in coaching relationships, that are saying, you know what, Carlin, I don't know that I'm going to go back to the office full time. I just don't need to. This has taught me that I can be sufficient at home without someone constantly looking over my shoulder. So that's big picture. I want to come back though to what's going on with a lot of companies right now, and we're going to read through this paper and see what findings we can take away from it. But before we do that, we've got a couple orders of business. If you like my content, you want to support my channel, there are lots of ways to do it. The best way is to subscribe, hit the notifications, give this video a thumbs up, share it out to your network, that sort of thing. However, if you want to go that extra mile, there are different ways you can support my content, support the work I'm doing, and one of those ways is by joining Subscribestar. The link is in the description below. You can basically make a monthly contribution at whatever level you feel comfortable with, and with one of these monthly contributions comes a variety of perks. One of the perks is that you get a shout out in one of my videos if you join at any single level. And so I actually have not one, not two, but 3 shout outs to do today. Thank you to Judy. I really appreciate your support. Thank you to Harley. Thank you. And thank you to Al. I'm very grateful that you all have kind of jumped in and said, yes, we want to support what you're doing. It really does mean the world to me, and I'm very, very appreciative. All right, let's get into our white paper, shall we? How leaders are responding to COVID-19 workplace disruption. And this came out a couple weeks ago, so it's not exactly the most current data, but I still think it'll give us some things to talk about. More than 3 weeks into the pandemic-driven cascade of cancellations, closing, and social distancing, workplaces are experiencing unprecedented disruption, and it's measurable. Here's what has changed in a stunningly short period of time. The percentage of full-time employees who say COVID-19 has disrupted their life a great deal or a fair amount has jumped from 58% to 81%. 81%. That is mind-blowing, the impact that this is having. 40% of U.S. employees say their employer has frozen hiring, and 33% say their employer has reduced hours or shifts because of COVID-19, up from 33 and 27% respectively. And listen, folks, even employers that do have job postings out and they haven't officially frozen hiring, what I have found is that they've unofficially frozen it while they're kind of waiting for the dust to settle. Now, that's not to say there are jobs still available. There absolutely are, but they are definitely harder to come by now than they were, a couple months ago. The percentage of full-time employees working from home because of COVID-19 closures has increased from 33% to 61%. The majority of the workforce is now getting used to a nice, cushy work-at-home environment where they get to jump out of bed and stay in their PJs and all this stuff. This is not going to change anytime soon, and this is why the fundamental shift is going to happen. It's not going to happen necessarily because employers are like, we like these flexible work environments. No. I mean, some of them do, but a lot of them would be much more comfortable if they could see what their employees are doing. But the employees are going to demand it. Maybe not right away, but they are absolutely going to demand it. The percentage of parents working full-time who have kept their kids home from school because of COVID-19 has increased from less than half, 44%, to everyone. Every single person in the survey, which shouldn't come as a great shock, but I also think it is absolutely a reason for leaders and managers to just, give people a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, allow them to, they're dealing with kids, man, especially when you have younger kids. They're on the internet, they're taking up all the Wi-Fi, they're running around. We have to just give people just a little extra slack right now in dealing with the kids, even if you don't have kids yourself. I don't have kids, but I can still cut people a little extra room while they're kind of figuring it out. The combined effects of frightening uncertainty about physical and financial health in the near future and the pressure of required self-isolation has led to record levels of stress and worry that far surpass those recorded in past years. Compared with 2019, reports of daily worry has increased from 37% to 60% among the full-time working population. Daily stress has increased from 48% to 65%. Listen, folks. Listen. Part of why I do what I do is because I am very concerned about the impact of stress on people's daily lives. Stress does you no good. When you are consistently living in a place where you are stressed out, you are setting yourself up to make yourself physically sick. You might not get physically sick from the coronavirus, but you will absolutely at some point have a physical manifestation of that stress. Now, why is that? Well, what's going on in our mind will eventually be reflected in what's going on in our body. There is an inextricable link between our mind and our body. If we're thinking something in our head, what's going to happen is the brain tries to help you out. It sends all these beautiful hormones into your body. Now, the brain doesn't necessarily judge what you're thinking about, right? So if you have a really positive thought, like you're saying, oh, it's a beautiful day, what a time to be alive, I'm so happy, your brain is going to say, okay, well, you're feeling happy right now, and so I'm going to give you all sorts of beautiful chemical and hormones, and so your body feels physically good. You feel like you're ready to go. Now, if you're like, everything sucks, my life is horrible, I'm never going to be able to go back to work. Again, your brain does not judge. It does not say, well, that's probably not the best emotion, so I'm going to ignore the fact that you're having that one. No. Our brain doesn't do that. What our brain does is say, okay, you're feeling like crap. Let me send you all sorts of beautiful chemicals and hormones so that your body physically feels like crap. Over time, those releases of the different hormones take an effect on the body, and if you stay in that place of being stressed out mentally, it will ultimately have a physical manifestation. All right? And the scary thing is that We don't always necessarily know what that physical manifestation is going to be. It could be that you clench your fists. It could be that your body feels tense. It could be that your back hurt. It could be that you're grinding your teeth. It could be that you have a headache. It could be that you have a heart attack. But regardless, it doesn't do you any good. And so don't let the fear of what is happening put you in this state where you're constantly in a state of worry and in a state of stress. I'm telling you, man, if you're working from home right now, meditation could be your best friend. Find some guided meditations, download an app on your phone, do whatever you need to do to give yourself those little breaks. Maybe you even meditate a couple times a day. It doesn't need to be for a long time. It can be 5-10 minutes. Just shut your eyes, do your guided meditation. Allow yourself to have that release. You are going to feel so much better. I promise you. All right, but let's get back to the topic. The employer response to COVID-19. Record level disruption means employers have had to respond at a record level pace, recrafting remote jobs on the fly, while as much as possible erasing employees' concerns to reduce worry and stress. So, how are employers doing? On March 23rd, Gallup reported on 5 key elements that organizations can influence and measure to gauge their progress in meeting what we've discovered are the four needs of followers: trust, compassion, stability, and hope. Okay, I can get on board with those. We have been tracking how well organizations are doing with each of these 5 elements. So there's 5 key elements related to trust, compassion, stability, and hope. I don't know. What are the 5 key elements? Hang on. Sidebar. This is what happens when I don't read things before. Well, what are the 5 key elements, though? You've given me the 4 key elements. What are the 5 key elements? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here are the 5 key elements. My leader has a clear plan of action. I feel well prepared to do my job. My supervisor keeps me informed about what's going on. My organization cares about my well-being. And over the past 24 hours, how have you been practicing social distancing? Okay, those are the 5 key elements that Gallup is looking at, and we're discovering the 4 needs of followers are trust, compassion, stability, and hope. Makes sense. Let's see what they found. Number 1, leadership has a clear plan. Organizations have improved the clarity of their communications to employees. 52% of employees strongly agree that their employer has communicated a clear plan of action in response to the coronavirus, an improvement of 15 percentage points from mid-March. So that's good. So lesson number 1, employers need to communicate that clear vision. And listen, folks, when you're communicating a clear vision, a plan, that's not a time to get into the nitty-gritty details. Look at what, oh God, I said I wasn't going to talk about politics, but of course I'm going to talk about politics because it's just the best example that everyone has access to. Look at what the Trump administration did with their 3-phase plan. When they rolled that out last week, it was 3 clear phases with guidelines for each phase. This is a time to do the 1-pager executive summary, high-level version of the plan, because that is what people are going to be able to process. The more detail that you put in these plans, if you put out like this big long strategic plan with even 10 pages is a lot of pages when it comes to stuff like this. We need something that people can easily digest, wrap their heads around, make sure you are doing it in the simplest possible terms. That is what clarity is. Saying something in the most succinct way that you can possibly say it. And when you as a leader are able to say something in a succinct way, that is when people are going to be able to just get it. They just get it, right? They don't have to think about it, and once they get it, they feel comfortable. That's what you're really trying to do. You're trying to ease their stress. You've got it under control. That's what we're talking about here. So 52% of employers are doing that. Employees look to leadership to provide direction and stability. While there has been improvement, many leaders are keeping their employees in the dark. And that's true as well, man. Hey, if 52% of employers right now are doing it well, that means that 48% of employers are not doing it well. And I would stand to guess that those are the 48% of employers that probably don't feel comfortable with these flexible working arrangements. Feel well prepared to do my job. There's a lack of progress in this area. That doesn't surprise me one little bit. In the March 13th through 16th Gallup survey, 55% of full-time workers strongly agreed that they felt well prepared to do their jobs. That figure has not improved in the past 2 weeks. It is still at 52% as of March 27th. Halting progress in this area is likely the result of increased distribution of work in the past 2 weeks. Employers have had to design new remote jobs that didn't exist a few weeks ago. In times of uncertainty and disruption, Gallup meta-analysis has found that organizations should refocus on basic engagement elements, clarifying expectations, making sure employees have the materials and equipment they need. That's a big one. We're going to talk about that in a sec. And reconfiguring jobs so that people can continue to do what they do best every day. It is also urgent that leaders help people see how their work connects to the bigger picture mission of the organization. Okay, let's talk about this one. This one is one that I've seen coming up an awful lot, making sure employees have the materials and equipment they need to do their job. So this is a presentation. This is one slide from a presentation I gave a couple months ago called Managing Virtual Employees, Managing Virtual Teams, something like that. Essentially, this is an employee engagement hierarchy of needs. I created this based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've used this in many organizations I've worked with. Maslow, I don't think I need to explain what Maslow is. If you've ever been to any conference ever, you've probably heard of Maslow. It essentially outlines what our basic human needs are as just human beings. And the higher you go up the pyramid, you need to fulfill your base level needs first before you can get up to that next level. Well, employee engagement is exactly the same way, right? And at the very bottom of the pyramid, we have workspace. That is the very first thing that you need to take care of for your teams. This is where they're working. What supplies do they have? What technology do they have? What does the lighting in their office work, or does it give them a headache? It's these very basic things that people need to do their job. Now, when we are in the office, this is easy, right? It's all right there. This is not even one that we usually need to worry about when people are in the office. However, when all of a sudden, at the drop of a hat, people have to go home, and literally my husband picked up his whole computer and brought it home, and I know people who brought their office chairs home, and they basically brought their entire life with them to work at home for God knows how long. But what happens is, like, we all of a sudden don't have our very basic office supplies. Do your employees have a printer? Do your employees have supplies? Do your employees have a chair that doesn't hurt their back? Do they have a dedicated workspace, or are they sitting on their couch with Netflix on in the background all day? These are questions that we need to be asking to make sure all those basic needs are fulfilled, right? The employees can't just go walk into a supply cabinet. Those are gone. The supply cabinets are gone. They're at the office. So maybe a suggestion here is, have you given people like a Staples gift card or something to be able to go and get what supplies they need? And obviously they can bring them back to the office with them when it's over. Did you give people permission to take home their chairs? Did you give people permission to take home their entire computers so they're not messing around on their home computers? What are you doing in regards to who's paying people's internet plans? Who's paying their cell phone plans? If they're using those things for work now, it actually becomes a question of what obligations do employers have to make sure those things are taken care of. And I'm of the mind, frankly, this is not a time to nitpick, folks. If you're having these big meetings about, ooh, should we really be paying for their internet? Well, yes, you should be if they're using it to do work for you for the foreseeable future. I'll put it another way. What if your employee didn't have internet? And I know that's probably not ever going to happen, but well, let's just, for argument's sake, what if they didn't have it at their house? And all of a sudden you're telling them you have to have internet to do their job. Of course you're responsible for paying for it. You're making them do something in order to do their job. So just this is not a time to nitpick. This is not a time to pinch pennies. This is a time to take care of your people. And if you take care of them, they're going to be much more likely to show up for you. Listen, This is the last thing I'm going to pull this slide up for. So if you want my whole presentation, you can actually get it on my website. That's zenworkplace.com. You can get to it from the homepage. You can also get to it if you go to Leading Virtually, which is just zenworkplace.com/leading virtually. This is my virtual leadership program that's running right now, and you can still doing that too, but you can also access this webinar for free, get a lot more information about that hierarchy, and also how to create highly resilient teams in this time period. But let's go back to our study. My supervisor keeps me informed. The percentage of full-time workers who strongly agree that their supervisor keeps them informed about what is going on in the organization has increased from 47% to 54%. You know what? This is like when people celebrate that employee job satisfaction is over 50%. Yay! Like, come on, man. Half the population is okay, I'll give a little bit more credit. A little more than half the population says their supervisor keeps them informed. Man, what are you guys doing? You need to have regular meetings with your employees, daily stand-up meetings with the team, and weekly one-on-one meetings to make sure everyone is on the same page. That webinar that I just pimped out for you, it talks about how to do it. The supervisor or manager is a key conduit. Look, they even underlined it. They feel so strongly about this. Oh no, it's a link. Okay. I just gave them way too much credit. Is a key conduit to setting clear expectations, adjusting resources, helping each person feel connected and involved, and creating accountability and recognizing employees for their contributions. My organization cares about my well-being. With increases in worry and stress, as well as rising loneliness and boredom, the organization's role in sustaining well-being is more important than ever. It is more complicated than ever, with millions of kids at home and intersecting with their parents' work daily. The percentage of full-time workers who strongly agree that their organization cares about their well-being has increased from 45% to 49%. So we didn't even reach the majority here, folks. We didn't even reach the majority. You know what? I lied. I'm taking this slide back up. Listen, if you are taking care of your employees' basic workspace needs, they are not going to feel that you care about them. If you're not taking care of your employees' security and stability needs, say, by providing them a plan and a vision and communicating with them about what's going on, they are not going to do their highest level work. If you are not taking care of your team camaraderie needs, building that psychologically safe work environment among the people who interact with each other every single day, your employees are not going to do their best work. I don't know why I have to keep saying this over and over and over again. Folks, you got to take care of your people, man. Now more than ever, this is a time to take care of your people. This is a time where you need to be more human, where you need to take care of their human needs. I don't care how you feel about interacting with emotions. Because if you don't take care of your employees' emotional needs during this time, if they feel like you don't care about them, they're working from home. They're going to screw off all day. Is that what you want? I don't think it is. At a basic level, having thriving overall well-being and good experiences throughout the day, even in quarantine, starts with getting the basics of employee engagement right. Career well-being. Well-being is multidimensional and includes social, financial, community, and physical elements as well. Organizations can support their employees' overall well-being as they adjust their policies, workplaces, incentives, recognition, virtual events, and development programs to the temporary new normal. A key factor lies in equipping managers to individualize to each person's situation. You do that by doing disc profiles, man. Disc profiles are your magic bullet to this. I'll tell you what, disc profiles will tell you exactly how to do this. And reach out to me if you want more information about it. That is a whole separate video right there. And then finally, social distancing. The percentage of full-time workers always practicing social distancing has risen from 22% to 51%. Gallup analysis shows substantial increases in social distancing reported by Americans, avoiding large crowds, changing travel plans, avoiding public places. About 2/3 of Americans report completely or mostly isolating themselves, but there is still plenty of room for improvement as the country blah blah blah, flattening the curve, yada yada, whatever. All right, so the biggest thing that I took away from this is that leaders, I'm a little disappointed. I have to say, I am a little disappointed that you aren't taking this more seriously. If you have not yet presented a plan or a vision to your team members, what the heck are you doing, man? This is a time you need to communicate. I swear, I'm getting a wooden ruler for these more teachable moments. Because I mean this. You need to take care of your employees' human needs. This is a time when that is more important than ever. And trust me when I tell you that if you don't do it now, your employees are going to remember it when things go back to normal. So really important. You've got to take care of these human needs. You've got to care about their well-being. You have to communicate to them. You have to help them feel as though you care about them and you're taking care of them as an overall part of this process.